Hello everybody, welcome back to another online lecture. Today we're going to be going over weight training basics. We already covered nutrition in the first one, and here we're going to be doing the complement to that. So they go hand in hand, and it's important that I cover both. Alright, so we'll start with the fundamentals. The very first thing I put here is track your workouts. So if you get one thing out of today, that you want to track your workouts. You need to have some sort of measure of what you're doing. You want to train harder than last time. So you need some way to know what you previously got. You can try and think in your mind, oh, I'll remember the weight, but in all reality, in practice, you never do. You never remember. So whether it be on paper, like the old school folks, or putting it in your notes section on your iPhone, which is pretty simple. That's what I used for a while. Go ahead, track your workouts, okay? And it's important that when you come in for your subsequent session, that you're trying to somehow beat your previous performance. Like I said, that could be adding weight, that could be adding reps. Those two are the most important. That's why I underline them. Those are probably the two most common ways and most easily trackable ways to beat your previous performance. However, other things such as better form, better speed, which would be tying into power, those are some other ways you can improve. So it's not just weight and reps, but typically those are where you're going to see most improvement. Another thing as a beginner is focus on your quality of your workouts rather than your quantity. So it's way more important to keep good form rather than let your form slip at the end of a set and add in more crappy reps. So I would much rather see a quality set of 10 than a good set of 10 and 5 bad reps at the end. This is important because technique is a skill, and it's important to practice correctly. So over time, your mind and your muscles are making connections throughout the workout. It's remembering how to move. It's remembering the movement. And the technique you use gets hardwired in your brain. So if you start off with doing crappy technique, well, it's going to be really hard to break those habits going forward. So if you're just starting out, very important to keep good technique. And you also lower your risk of injury this way, and induce more muscle protein synthesis, which is what we all want. So focus on this quality rather than just the quantity, okay? They're not equal. Another thing is you want to be putting most of your focus on getting better at the core lifts, so the compound lifts. What does that mean? That just means using multiple joints or moving throughout the movement. So when you're doing something like a bench press, your shoulders and your elbows are working, okay? They're both moving. It's not an isolation movement like a bicep curl where only that elbow is curling up. What do you think is going to bring more gains? It's going to be the compound lifts, okay? I wrote here more bang for your buck, and that's just as simple as it is. You know, you don't want to be spending hours in the gym doing isolation movements for every single exercise. You want to try to kill two birds with one stone, and you're going to do that by getting better at compound lifts. Not only, where you're going to hit more muscles, but it's easier to track, and they're more fun to do. I mean, everyone wants to know your bench press PR. No one wants to know your single arm chest fly PR. I mean, that just should encourage you to hit these lifts. These are things that are essential. Got to do them. Put them first in your workouts, okay? Get them done, and then you can move on to some accessories. Continuing this discussion, intensity. So you don't want to be that guy who goes into the gym and you've seen that person. They're on their phone doing leg extensions. They're reading a book even. They're not going hard, okay? And they're really just wasting their time. They're probably not tracking, and they're just going through the motions. And that's not what you want to do in the gym. You want to come in, you want to train with purpose. But you also don't want to do the opposite. So training to failure is great, and it can be used very selectively. It has its time and its place. I almost think it is important as a beginner to at least experience failure once, so that you can kind of base off what we're going to go over next, which is RPE. So to the right, you'll see a little chart, and it goes from 1 to 10. This is called the RPE scale, RPE Borg scale. That's the proper name. It's basically just a measure of how intense your exercise is. So a simpler way to think about it, because you're not going to really be able to tell, oh, this is a 4 versus a 6, like, especially if you haven't done exercise a lot. The easiest way I like to think about it is 10 is failure. So you bring a set of chest presses all the way to the point where you can't get one more rep. That's going to be a 10. So you brought it to failure. Now, if you stopped that set just 1 rep shy of failure, true failure, not maybe, true failure, you stopped at 1 rep shy, that will be a 9, because you have 1 rep left in the tank. And if you had 2 reps left in the tank, it'd be an 8, so on and so forth. Most people are actually training way lower than they think. They might think I'm in training pretty close to failure, but in reality, on this scale, they're at a 3 or a 4. They might actually have 7 more reps if you really push them, but not a lot of people like that discomfort. So the range that you want to stay in, as someone who's starting out, go 7 to 9. All right. Preferably stay around 7. If you are getting more used to it, you're a little bit more advanced, you can throw in more 9s, more 8s. But even as low as a 6, I didn't write it on there. Important to do, okay? You don't have to go balls to the wall as a beginner to make gains. Your body as a beginner is super primed to put muscle on. And, you don't have to bring it to an RPE 10 every single time. But it is important to bring intensity, 2 really intense sets are going to be a lot better for you than 5, you're going on your phone in between or during the set, like I mentioned before. Those aren't the kind of sets you want. So you can save some time and you get more muscles. Sounds good. Sounds like a good deal to me. Another thing people ask a lot is training frequency and splits. So if you're a true beginner, you have never really gone to the weight room, anything's better than nothing. 1 workout a week still is better than nothing. However, you should aim for at least 2, and hopefully 3 is a really good place to start. So you want to be doing full body workouts as a beginner. Okay, we're not doing bro splits. We're not hitting chest on Monday, shoulders on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday. That's not the way to do it. Okay, I think we've people that have been doing it a while, and didn't get this information, like myself. I fall into the trap. I worked out every day. I did the chest on Monday thing. It's not optimal, because going into sets and reps, you're going to want to hit 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. So you're not going to be having good quality sets if you're hitting it all in one day. So you want to spread them apart. So let's just give an example. You could do 4 good sets of chest on day 1, 4 good sets of chest on day 2, and then 3. And that's 4 good sets, really good quality, but you spread it out. So that's kind of why you want to spread out your workouts. Intermediates, 3 to 4. You can still stick with full body, or you could try upper lower. So you could do 1 upper, 1 lower, and then another upper and another lower later in the week. And then the final category, advanced, you want to work out 5 to 6 times a week. Now, I didn't say 7 times a week, because you do want a day of rest, okay? It's important. Everyone needs rest. Unless you're some sort of freak of nature who has some genetic mutation where you don't need rest. Everyone needs some rest, okay? So you could do upper lower, you could do push-pull legs, you could even mix in full body, or you could mix them, all of the above. So feel free to create your own split. If you're an advanced lifter, you know kind of what muscle groups you need to focus on the most, and you can get away with it, mixing it up. So I already talked about the number of sets per muscle group per week, but let's go into reps. So you might have heard of the big chart. You might not have, where it's, low reps are going to be really good for strength, and then high reps are endurance, and then somewhere in the middle is hypertrophy, and that there's no overlap, anything like that. That's a myth. So, they've done recent research, and anywhere between the rep range of 6 to 30 is going to be optimal for hypertrophy. Granted that you're bringing the intensity. So as long as you're somewhat close to failure, you're in that 7 to 9 RPE, whether you do 10 reps or 20 reps, as long as you're getting to that point, you're going to be building muscle. So don't worry too much about the number of reps. Just try and do better than last time, as we said before. Now, is there a time and place to go underneath 6 reps? Yes. So max strength, if you really want to become a power lifter, or you just like 1 rep maxing, say that's your thing, you do need to train those lower rep ranges. So your body adapts to the stimulus you give it. If you really want to get good at singles, you got to train some singles. Power too. Power movements like the cleans and the jerks, you're not going to want to do really anything above 6 reps in those exercises anyway, trust me. So keep the reps low on powerful exercises and maximal strength exercises. That's really where you're going to see those benefits underneath that. But anything above 6 and 30 is kind of the upper range. You're going to be building muscle, okay? Now, those are kind of all the fundamentals to weightlifting. However, there are some other considerations. So, more is not always better. I know, it's crazy, right? Everyone says, well, if I did 3 sets of chest and I want to get a bigger chest, how about I just do 4, 5, 6? Hell, why don't I even do 10 sets today? Just knock them all out. I'll just keep adding sets. I'll get better. No. So, it would be great if it worked like that, You could just stay in the gym forever and get huge. But that's not true. So I like to bring up the analogy of a piece of toast. So if you look at that chart on the right, the ones in the middle are looking pretty good, but on either ends, that's not so much toast. We got bread at the top and we have burnt to a crisp at the bottom. So think of the top pieces of bread as training like the person at Planet Fitness who's on their phone in the middle of their sets texting their significant other what it's going to be for dinner. So that person is not working out very hard. They're not going to be getting that good toast that we want, okay? Those are the muscles, those pieces of toast. The one at the top that hadn't been training hard, it's not getting that stimulus. All the way at the bottom and the other side of the spectrum, that's going to be someone who's been overtraining. That's going to be someone who's been, as I said here, doing those Tom Platz workouts. They look really cool, okay? It's really inspiring to see people pushing their limits like that. However, in this day and age, unless you're blasting a significant amount of steroids and anabolic substances, no one's body is going to be able to handle those kind of workouts consistently at all. If you want to do a crazy workout every now and then because maybe you met Tom Platz and you're with him at the moment, go ahead and do it. But you don't want to hit your workouts like that in every single workout. That's not going to bring you a better response, okay? You want to stimulate. You don't want to annihilate. Find that middle ground. Find the amount of training that you can handle and recover from before your next workout, so that you're hitting your muscles, but you're not overdoing it, and you're definitely not underdoing it either. So both sides not good. Try to hit that middle. Another thing, variability. So mix your workout routine up, okay? Keep it fresh. Try to aim mixing it up every 5 to 10 weeks. So why do this? Well, it keeps your training fun and it keeps it challenging, okay? You avoid burnout and you also avoid overuse injuries. If you only did bench press all the time, barbell bench press every workout for 5 weeks, well, eventually if you never did anything else, you're gonna get some sort of overuse injuries, and at a certain point, it's just not gonna be fun anymore. You're gonna wanna branch out and try some other things. Your body adapts to a point, and then it needs a little bit of a break. So maybe throw in some dumbbell bench for another 5 weeks, and then maybe some incline another 5 weeks, and then come back to the bench press, the barbell flat bench press. And I guarantee that it'll bring a lot more strength gains that way than if you just did the same thing all the time. And the very last thing we're going to go over is warming up. So do it, all right? It's as simple as that, guys. Do your warm-ups. Everyone wants to be that guy who can go into a gym and doesn't need a warm-up and can hop under the barbell and just start squatting, slapping on 135, then 225, nothing else. That'd be great. Save you a lot of time that way, but listen, here's the deal. 5 to 10 minutes of your time to warm up is a small sacrifice to save you in many injuries and, lo and behold, improve your performance. So your performance actually does get improved by warming up the muscles. You know, the neurons fire better. There's more blood flow to the area. You're actually doing things metabolically at the muscle cellular level. It's going to boost your performance. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You know, here's an example. If you're going to do a back day, hop on that rower machine for 5 minutes. Do some rows on that machine. There you have it. Heart rate's up. You're starting to boost your performance. Your mental side is getting into it. It's a whole big deal. I can make a separate video on warming up, and I will. But it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Okay, you don't have to do the things you see on TikTok where they're taking exercise bands and probably strapping on electrical stimulation in their muscles. You know, we don't got to do all that. Skip some rope. Do some arm swings. Something that's going to be remotely resemble what you're going to be doing for the day. Like I mentioned earlier with the rowing, and it can be a back workout. So there's some level of specificity, but keep it simple, guys, okay? And do your warm-ups, okay? It's not worth the injuries, and it's definitely worth the performance boost. Overall, I hope that this video, you know, educated you in a way about how to improve your training. If you're someone who's just starting out, use this information as a guide. Create your own workout plan. If you need help, shoot me a DM, fill out my form. I'd be more than happy to help you. But keep it simple, guys, okay? People like to overcomplicate things. Just work hard and do a little bit better. That's all there really is. Other than that, thank you for watching, and hopefully tune in for the next episode.